Yo, 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 Fact Check Age Podcast is your boy Rico Jackson. Glad to have y'all back. Glad to be back. Spring break week, man. So we getting it in this week. We're doing a lot, got a lot of content coming for you this week. But we also got a lot of business to take care of too, man. Getting all the store supply with the Kaya Costa drinks, the pre-rolls out there and all the shops that are having those supply. Thank you. Kaya Costa CBD, the products are absolutely moving very well. The people seem to love them. That's all that matters. As long as the people love it, we're gonna keep giving it to them and bringing new products and always improving it until we can't improve anymore. So thank you for everybody who supports the brand, who supports the lifestyle. Kaya Costa, Feather and Company, St. Pete style. Um, Thank you. So I wanted to start a new segment called War Stories. Because if you look over the internet and you look at a lot of the channels, it's pretty diverse, but it's actually a lot of the same content being circulated, especially when it comes to pop culture, current events. Everybody's doing that. Nobody's really telling their own personal real life stories. I want to give a big shout out to Banky Pound. Banky Pound, 33 years of prison stories. If you haven't checked him out yet, go check out Banky Pound, 33 years of prison stories. Um, Man, he got some good stories on there, but his stories come with the lesson. His stories come with the lesson, and that's what I appreciated about his channel. Seemed to be a real humble guy, straight shooter, and the young people need to start knowing the reality of their consequences. I teach social emotional learning on a daily basis, not just to students, but to the people around me, adults. And I joke about this a lot, but it's the facts that a lot of adults do not have social emotional learning skills. It's just it is what it is. Um, and that's a sad thing, and that's why we can see our youth moving in the direction they moving in. Behaving the way they behaving, their reaction times to life situations, how they respond. They don't have a lot of guidance. I was just talking to Superman CSC the other day, and we were talking about the male role models in our life growing up. Like it was manly men around me growing up. My father, my uncles, my brothers, my cousins, the neighborhood mechanic, Ed, the junk car man, Ed, one eye Ed. He got his eye shot out with a BB gun. Um, as a kid with my dad, he lost his eye when he was a kid. And he was a, what I'm saying, he was out there in the streets. He was a kind of a junkie. I wouldn't call no disrespect. I want to call him a junkie. He was a drug user, maybe like alcoholic, because he would work on your car for a 6 pack of beer. I used to see him giving people all the time. Oh man, do my little thing. Yeah, give me a 6 pack. And go on the door, give me a 6 pack. And nah, I got that for you. Nah, he may have had your car for a long time. I remember my uncle getting into it with him about his car, having it for so long. Rest in peace, my Uncle D. You know what I'm saying? And that's why I wanted to start these stories. He's the main reason I wanted to start these stories. Because my Uncle D, a young island boy, a real island boy, he died 2021, 53 years old. He did like just average it out 17 to 20 years in prison, through his jail time and his prison sentence and halfway houses and all that. He did like a 20-year bid, right? As a young man. Drugs. He had a good job. He worked for the county back in the 80s, early 90s. My Uncle D was one of the first dudes I knew that drove a 325 and 350Z when they first dropped. He had them. Young, flashy black man in Miami, living that Miami lifestyle like most people back in the day did. They get caught up in that, that street life. And when you think you untouchable, you think you got your system down pat. You know, somebody always looking, somebody always lurking, somebody always hating on you. So you got to be on your P's and Q's and know when to switch it up, when to fall back, when to jump out the game, get your feet out the pool, you know, get your butt in the house when the street lights come on, because things start to happen. And but when you're young, you don't know those things, man. So you move recklessly. And he was moving reckless, and he was running around with a rat. And you know, you don't think you can lose your whole life the first time you make a mistake. You never think that. And you know, he got caught up moving them things, and what happens? The inevitable, the same thing that happens all the time. So when he first got out, I never forget, me and my brother came and scooped me up. My brother was in Georgia. He came and picked me up from St. Pete. We went to Miami. We got to Miami like 3 hours max, 2.5, 2:45. My brother be flying. Yo, this dude, he's a scary driver, bro. Hey, man, this nigga be flying. Anyway, I love him to death, man. That dude, he scared me, man, when I drive with him. Like, yo, you got to relax, B. Like, like, dude, I'm like, like the scene in, like the scene in Belly when DMX was riding, him and Nas in the car. Rest in peace, X, man. They ride, and this dude driving crazy. And Nas like, yo, you ain't see that fucking cop right there, man. Fuck the police. Bitch can't touch me. That's how this. That's how a dude was flying. Like, yo. I felt like Nas in that moment, man. Like, yo, we on 75, bro. You don't see the police. Like, what you trying to do, man? Yo, but yeah, man. We shot down to Miami to see him, and he was on his job. Yeah, because he hadn't got out. He was like maybe like a week or two out, and he was at his job. Still had him in a halfway house, all that situation. He had a little cell phone. We were showing him the stuff on the phone and stuff. He didn't know how to use a cell phone. It was 2008. Yeah, this was like 2008. He didn't know how to use the cell phone. He was like, yeah, man, I'm trying to get used to it, you know, blah, blah, blah. But he sat down, and we sat in my brother's car for a couple of hours. I mean, just talking about life, talking about the situation, all the stuff he had set up, all his plans. I mean, we talked about everything we could talk about in that short amount of time, because he was on the job, but he was just doing some cleaning stuff or whatever. So he was just, man, he didn't care about that, man. He's island boy. And so we just, man, we hugged each other, man. We cried with each other. We laughed. And I'm like, man, it was that short amount of time. I hadn't seen this man in, 15 years. So there's no way you can get somebody's life story like that. And after that day, I knew I needed to document his life some type of way, get his story. I wanted it from him, right? I wanted it from him. And he told me straight up, and I didn't know how I was going to do it. But then when the YouTube thing came around, I'm like, yo, I did a documentary on my man, my homeless friend. That was like the first one I did. And I liked how that made me feel, letting somebody tell their life story, to make them feel better. I never did anything for no paper. Like, money don't move me. Now, I'm not going to sound cliche and like an idiot and say, oh, I don't want no money. Everybody wants money. Everybody would like money to help them live. But this art style that we have here of letting people expose their life to the world and just to see what happens, man. It's has exploded, but not even big explosions. It's nobody really want to open up. So when I'm seeing how the internet was growing, I immediately thought about my Uncle D. I'm like, yo, excuse me, because I talked to my dad. You know, he always tell me stuff about, you know, how they grew up, all the funny stories. Um, you know, with just a childhood stories, like my grandmother, straight island woman, Bahamian woman, and she didn't play. I knew how she treated us. Like my grandma would, she didn't play. Love her to death. Everybody loved Violet, but they knew like, yo, if you act up, she gonna give you that act right. You gonna get that act right, you know. And I thank God for that structure growing up. And, you know, as Black people, we done got so loose out here in these streets, conforming to the world we living in. We done forgot that most of us, especially if you grew up in the 80s, you know, early 90s, even the late 90s, like you lived a conservative lifestyle. Black people have always been conservative where I came from. And I'm find somebody that they may not know what the word conservative mean to say, nah, I didn't live that way. Yeah, you did. You wasn't playing no cards at Auntie house on Sundays. You were getting up, going to church. I don't care how I told you don't stay up late reading the books and Mac comic books or playing Nintendo. You going to bed at a certain time, cut the TV off. You probably don't even have no TV in your room. A telephone. Nah, don't give out this house number. Like you had rules. You brush your hair. You look presentable when you leave the house. Sag your pants. Only time you sag when you that belt finna hit you. You finna get that leather. Yeah, like grown people talking. You not even in the room half the time. You better go outside somewhere. You butting in grown folks conversation. I remember one time my mother was taking my aunt to work. My aunt was like a teenager, probably like 16, 17. And her boyfriend was riding with us. We was in my mom Monte Carlo. Man, I miss that Monte Carlo. To this day, I'm man, me and my dad talk about it every now and then. He sold that Monte Carlo. That Monte Carlo should have still been with us. 72. Rust orange. Leather top. Classic automobile now. Then wouldn't have known it back then. We was taking her to work and she was working at Wendy's. That's back when Wendy's had the real chili, and then they gave you the chili oil that came in that gold packet. You put that chili oil on the chili. It was hot, man. Oh man. And she got out the car, and then they was kissing on each other. And I leaned across the back seat, and I'm looking back out the window watching them. I said, "Ooh, they French kissing." And my mom said, "Whoosh." Just like that. Whoosh. What you know about a French kiss? You better sit your butt down. Stay out of grown folks' business. Now you got kids walk up on you just all in your conversation. Two grown folks talking. What are you doing? So it's stuff like that we've gotten away from. So when I listen to Banky, to bring the story back full circle, I listen to Banky through his prison stories. This is a man that went to prison. He was like 20 years old. You know what I'm saying? Done 33 years. His life is prison. And he had to grow through that and come out to be the person he is. So when my uncle got back out and we started talking, I'm like, yo, you got so much life to pass on, from the street knowledge to the consequence of the street game of your choices. You know what I'm saying? Not saying that you feel like you did anything wrong. He might have done it all over again. I doubt it. Because he knew what he missed. He was out of prison for 12 years before he died. And within them 12, he tried to do everything he was trying to make up for, but you can't make up for lost time like that, man. And that's what I wanted to capture with him. I wanted to capture his story because he was a small guy, but his personality was 7 feet tall. My uncle probably wasn't no bigger than 5'6", you know, but his personality, everybody loved him. The mayor came to his funeral. So I can't say he told me twice when I hit him on the line. I'm like, yo, Unc, I got a project for us that I really want to take advantage of, but I want you to be ready because we're gonna tap in. We're gonna go all the way back to the start. You know what I'm saying? So I want you to be tapped in, ready to go. I come to you. He had just bought another crib. I'm like, man, I come up there, hang out with you for the weekend, man. We could just, go in. And he told me, nephew, straight up, I ain't even ready for that yet. I say, I feel you, like, ain't no questions asked. Hey, let me know when you're ready. Let me know when you're ready. So like a year passed, and we, you know what I'm saying, we keep in contact. I never said nothing about it again. And my family member passes away. Family member is my uncle. My uncle passed away. Uncle Haywood. Something over popcorn. Uncle Haywood was, hey man, this thing was crazy, bro. Yo, my Uncle Haywood was a classic, man. Street guy his whole life. And that's the thing. Like, these were stand-up guys, man. They chose a lifestyle that ultimately was their demise because of the situation they put their bodies and their mental health in. Because living that street life, like my Uncle D who passed, 53, but like I told people around, he probably had the heart of an 80-year-old man. You can't do that much time in prison and not take a toll on your heart, your organs, your mental health. Your body is gonna be more damaged than the average 53-year-old. That's for anybody, especially for these young dudes that's going to your young mind. You still forming, your brain is still forming. You going to prison at 20 years old, 19, 18, 16 years old. From this street life, I can line old niggas up and show them to you. It ain't gonna work. You ain't gonna retire. No, you seen Tony? You can't retire from it. It's a handful of them, man. Like they say, the 1% got all the money. It's about 1% that can really retire from the dope game. And I wanted him to tell that story. It ain't no outcome, man. Like Superman said, ain't no pensions and 401ks in the dope game. And it look cool, it sound cool, easy money. Everybody loves money. So we miss a lot of stand-up dudes that can mentor these young guys. Because like I say, I was around to see him. I was around to see my father be a 9-to-5 company man for 30-something years. I see my uncle be a halfway company man, halfway dope dealer, go to prison for half his life, and then die early. I saw my other uncle live a whole street. I don't think this nigga never had no job. Be honest with you. I knew he had females. I knew he ran the streets. I knew he was gonna hustle. You know, the product of a society of black men who still had no guidance at some point in their life and figured out how to do what they can do, but still had morals and stand-up mannerisms, stand-up characters. You know, nowadays you got a lot of dudes just hoofing and woofing, exploiting young dudes, shooting this falsified game, and it ain't about nothing. They gonna land them up in prison, man. You got old dudes handing young men still handing the young boys the burners. They go out there and do dirty work with no game, no bail money. no lawyer money. It ain't no more honor in the game, man. These old heads out here, they so old heads now, they ain't got no mental health stability. They still angry about what happened to them. They still think about the OG who took advantage of them, led them astray, or they didn't listen. So I looked at all these things, man. I'm like, yo, I need to just get some real stories out. And that's why I wanted to get my uncle on camera. I wanted to get my uncle Haywood on camera because he was a funny guy. My uncle Ricky, he was my youngest uncle, or my second youngest uncle. My Uncle Daryl was the youngest. My Uncle Ricky was the second youngest. That dude was always fly, man. Like, he had to be probably one of the flyest dudes. When you like, if you watch the old blaxploitation movies, like the pimp movies, and like that was him. Yeah, a Miami Island boy, but you couldn't tell him he wanted to fly. Like, if you look at his pictures, man, he's sitting on the back of the cars on the, he gonna have the Kango, or he gonna have the brim on, he gonna have a suit or something fly. He died young, caught in the street life, running with the women. Him and his woman died young, and they child. The cousin Roro died probably at 5 years old, 6 years old. He had some health issues, due to the choices his parents made. This is what I'm saying. Us adults making decisions that affect the children around us, the children that we bring into this world, the children that we say we will be responsible for. Some people just don't need to have kids. Just to be real. Because the lifestyle you live in. Not that you wouldn't be a good parent, but look at the lifestyle you live in. Yeah, sex, fun, cool. Everybody like to do it. But they don't want the responsibility afterwards when you just having a good rock and roll lifestyle night. They don't want the outcome. But then when the outcome comes and it brings something that you definitely wasn't expecting, there's so many young kids out here running around having sex. I mean, young kids, middle school kids. No protection, don't even know what they're doing, don't know what they're talking about. Experimenting. Where the OGs at? Male and female. My dad told me a story about older, like my dad and my Uncle John. Like, they the two company men out of all the boys in the family, out of all my grandmother boys, there was the two company dudes. They were still out there in the streets acting a fool too when they were younger, getting a little trouble here and there. But, they chose the other route, even though it didn't bring the funds that the streets would have brought. They was around for a lot of the young males in our family. And that's what the dudes got to get back to now, man. Dudes out here, they got nephews and nieces, and their daddy's not around or their mother's not around. We got to make sure we give them the real game, that old school conservative, like mama was teaching, like grandma and them and auntie and them was saying, hey, man. You remember my auntie used to send me and my cousin Coco, you wrap the cigarettes up in the foil and like, hey, run these around the corner to your auntie out, because my aunts, they lived on separate streets, but that's how close we was all. They was all in the same area. And we run them things around there, but we always peek and look, but you better not take one out, because we probably should have encountered them. But that's how it was. When you do something, your mama tell you to do it. Even if you feel like doing it, ain't no question you getting up doing it. Good old days, man. But yeah, man, I'm starting the new segment on here, War Stories. I was briefly in the military, so I am considered a vet. So shout out to all my veterans out there. There's a lot of homeless veterans here in St. Pete. My boy Randy, shout out my dog Randy. I'm gonna get some more stories with Randy if I can catch him. He move around a lot. Randy is an old vet who got caught up in that dope, and he's still out here in these streets, man. But I'm gonna start trying to get some more vets and soldiers. Some of the stories gonna be laughable. Some of them gonna be unbelievably crazy. Some of them gonna be sad, you know. But we want to give you a realistic picture on the military, because nobody really knows what. If you ain't been in the military, you ain't been through boot camp, tech school, you wouldn't know, man. You would have no idea what goes on in there, man. Like, you would have no idea. So, just stay tuned, man. I'm gonna drop some stories this week, and hopefully y'all appreciate them. I'm gonna try to get King Cash on the podcast. He fresh home out of prison. He did a 5-year stint. I believe that was his last goal, man. He can't do no more, man, because he's still a young man. You know, he done pushed his music on the back burner for the street life for so long, man. He ain't got no choice but to say, you know what, this is your last shot, man. And yeah, we'll try to bring him to y'all, let y'all meet him, and got some good music coming. And get some other people on the podcast too, man. Try to switch it up, man. Get y'all some of this good quality content, man. Give you some thought-provoking content, not just this old pop culture, what's going on in the rich people life. Allegedly they rich. That's what seems like all people care about. But we got to get back to doing some guidance, even for adults, man. Adults need some guidance, because a lot of y'all adults that I deal with, y'all children, y'all behave in a similar fashion. And it's again, sometimes it's not y'all fault, because some people still haven't learned. You know, some of these people done been to prison at a young age, and in prison still going through development. You know, the brain keeps growing. You know, you 24, 25, some late developers, some people still have a handicap for whatever reasons, you know. And sometimes those things are not their fault, so they do need a little longer to develop or understand or learn these things. So that's why I say I teach this every day. What I'm doing right here, I'm trying to turn this into a teachable moment. Because one thing I don't want, I tell this to my kids at school all the time, it may seem like I'm coming down on you. It may seem like I'm yelling at you or I'm chastising you. If I don't do it, who else will? Not to say the next person down the hallway not gonna say something to you, but if I don't do it, I'm not guaranteed somebody else will. And then if you go out there in the streets and something happen to you, and get shot in your face, or you go do something stupid to get caught up, you can't say, oh no, nobody told me. I never know. Mr. B told you. That's why I do it. Because some things people didn't tell me. Some things people didn't tell a lot of people and got caught up. So that's why I say if that's what I'm here for. Fact Check That Ish podcast. Appreciate y'all. Go check out Banky Pound if you haven't yet, man. He got some good stories over there. I'm gonna try to link up with him too, man. I'm just tapping into this space, so they let me back. So hopefully I don't get kicked out again. We can keep it rolling. So, hey man, I'm out of here, man. Rico Jackson, Fact Check This podcast. I'll be back, man. War Stories coming real soon. We out.